You've tried to make complaints and you've made reports and you've filed reports regarding this activity, and
well, I've tried. I usually get stopped from actually getting it written down. And I get threatened, like, the last time I went to, it was in Albany, actually, not in New York City. I'm in New York City now, but I made 3 trips to Albany so far. I'm planning to make another one probably, to try to get help from state government level. And on one of those trips, a man in a mask, it was not Halloween, it was March, and he was wearing a mask. He was completely covered up from head to toe. He's wearing gloves, wearing a mask, everything, and so you can't make out any identifying features. And he was approaching me. He approached me twice, actually. He approached me both when I was walking out to get something to eat from the place I was staying at. It was like, I think I'd arranged it through Airbnb. And now, to be fair, I've since come to realize and posted evidence, proof in some cases, that there's been major computer hacking and hijacking of communications and all. There's been false identities used for somebody who's supposed to be the host and what have you. So I don't even know now if it was really the Airbnb site, if it was just spoofed, or if more likely, I think they were doing like how they hijack the calls. They operate like a call center. So I think they probably did the same thing with Airbnb. Like I go and I log in, I try to send something, a request or whatever, or information message to Airbnb, but they come between me and official Airbnb people, and then they send something back pretending to be Airbnb, and they communicate with Airbnb pretending to be me. And I strongly, everything adds up to that's what's happened, and I'm needing to talk with somebody I know is really Airbnb, again, being held up by the, COVID closures, though, because I found out where the Airbnb office, there's an office in Manhattan that I can walk to, so it's downtown, and so I can walk up to like 45, 50 minutes before I think twice about it. So I'm going to walk there, and so I know I'm talking with somebody, but I have to wait a little bit till they have regular, people coming regularly into the office again.
So we know that these tactics are going on online. We know the hacking has escalated and the phishing has escalated online, and there's just the targeting has also escalated. What do you think? You knowing and being aware, because you grew up with this program, basically.
Yes, I didn't know that's what it was, but I actually did know that something was going on, that I literally did start very knowingly putting together a puzzle. Like, I was like, this is a puzzle, and I have to, make sure to log the puzzle pieces so that one day I can put this puzzle together, because I already knew it was something of concern for the safety for myself and for many other people that I was finding out about, that I was concerned about, including a lot of friends. I realize now maybe disproportionately so, because, I was in this program, and I was surrounded by people that, they're also interacting with other people who are also doing this to their children and things like that. So, but I would know people that were, very badly abused by their parents, both male and female friends, but usually the parents would hide it, even if it was just me coming to visit. I was just a little kid, and if I went over to visit, usually they try to pretend like they're not abusive. But I would believe my friends, I would know, and sometimes there'd be, sadly, evidence too, like the bruises and what have you. So I would know that they're abusing my friend behind closed doors, but they would hide it, even just for the benefit of, a child friend of that child of theirs. So what was interesting, though, in my house was my parents, they usually ignored me. I think I said this earlier, part of this series, but I think I'm going to say again, my parents would usually ignore me. They were usually not in my face to be seeking me out, to be abusing me or so. But in the presence of certain company, and it was generally military intelligence company, and these were adults, and these are people, they'd come over, and then all of a sudden my parents would be theatrically abusive. They'd be really manufacturing grounds to, blame and abuse me and gaslight me and stuff, and oh, is this your hairbrush? Is this your hair in your hairbrush? How could you leave your hair in your hairbrush? Didn't we tell you you're not allowed to have hair in your hairbrush, and all this stuff, and making this big show. And it was very obvious, I realized now, with benefit of hindsight, that they do have psychological operations scripts where they basically told this is how you're supposed to abuse, our target. You're supposed to abuse this target like this and like that and whatever. And so they were trying to demonstrate, we're doing what we're paying us to do.
So you mentioned to me in the past that you actually had, I've had guests on the show previously who have discussed, really sensitive topics in regards to childhood abuses, mostly in foster care placements. But you weren't actually in foster care, but you were placed with a stepfather that you've connected to. That, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm trying to get, you've documented so much stuff, and I find it really fascinating because you have a stepfather that you believe actually scripted some of these.
Okay, well, I'm going to go back a little bit. Okay, bear with me 1 second, because I don't want to forget stuff. So, I did find I forgot to say my YouTube channel, so check out my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is Chinyere.com. So youtube.com/CHIN as in Nancy, YEREDOTCOM. And in the playlist to the attention of the U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee, that playlist, that has the clearest evidence in the files. I have several other video files up, but they're not necessarily as compelling for having concentration of evidence in those files. So those ones are in that playlist. And so all the ones I've been playing on this series is from that playlist. And that file I mentioned, the re-upload one, they literally, what you could hear one of them saying, this was in the Bronx in 2007, December, and a man's voice, a young man's voice, he was saying, hurry, don't do anything foolish, she gonna get you, employee, we need her head, laser, she can get cancer, a new piper, hell should know about the bitch, like that. I'm very good with intonations. People tell me all the time, I used to be in state repertory theater, so I'm not good at like other ways of making my voice sound like theirs, but I catch all the inflections.
No, but so explain who your stepfather was to you and that placement. I think it's important.
Yes. Okay, so sorry, yes, thank you. So basically all my parental figures that I've known, that I've known and lived with, so the person who's supposed to be my biological mother, the person supposed to be my biological father, and the two stepfathers or pseudo-stepfathers, the first and the second, they were all in this network working for shadow government. I didn't know it, but it's very obvious. It's become obvious it's been several years now. In fact, the mother and the second stepfather, the second one being the one that's worked for the FBI also, he died in 2016. But both of them were working together as specialized in behavior modification. That's the umbrella category for all the mind control projects, including MK Ultra. You look at the cover page for the declassified documents, it says behavior modification, then it says project, it says MK Ultra, etc. So they actually were the only pair of consulting psychiatrists, they were listed together as the consulting psychiatrist for a live-in, around-the-clock facility for behavior modification for people with no minimum age, both genders. And I was very concerned about this. I started to realize that's basically what they do to me, but they just have me as the only person they work on in the household, right? That's where they never really were trying to be good parents. I realize now, I thought they were just like bad parents, but and had some other personality issues and whatever. But now I realize, no, they were following scripts. They weren't even trying to actually like get along and be harmonious and be good parents, whatever. They were trying to actually drive me crazy. Professional neuropsychiatrists, government contracted, specializing in behavior modification. So apparently what they do is like, they seek to traumatize you out of your proper mind. That's the brainwashing, washing out what's inherently there. And so then they can, next step, they program in, they get what they call tabula rasa, an erased slate that way. That's the goal. They don't always get done, but that's what they're trying to get done. And so then they have that erase slate to program in what they want. And I do personally believe, I don't talk about it too much right now because I'm not an expert. I don't have great metaphysical studies credentials as yet or what have you, although I plan to one day. I would like to. But I do believe from my experiences and observation that overlapping with that is a serious spiritual factor of demonic influence to possession. Mm-hmm. So that they don't just program you in like what they want per personality into you, personality or personalities plural. Many times personalities plural, multiple alternate ones, separate from what was originally there, as a psychological differentiation, but also as literally having different spiritual manifestations in control of those different personalities.
And these playlists are very compartmentalized, and in your research, you actually discovered that your stepfather was basically creating some of these scripts.
Yes. Sorry. We still have our connection, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because all of a sudden somebody's trying to call me and showing up as unknown. We'll just ignore that. Okay. So what happened is in downtown Toronto, the files that I played where they had the person with the Nigerian accent that they referred to as their audio engineering consultant, and they moved him in to a nearby apartment on the same floor, to an apartment they expertly shepherded me to go, try to live in. And when I went back across the border to Canada, because my friends were like, oh my gosh, maybe you're not safe in the States, maybe try going back to Canada. So I tried it for a little bit, but it didn't, I was going to worry about all sorts of things, on documentation and things like that to reapply to be permanently in Canada or something, but I turned out it never got that far, because within a few months I ended up coming back to the States. I realized it was stupid because literally they followed me across the border, both going to Canada and coming back from Canada. I actually saw a vehicle that said SciTech on it, a white van that said SciTech on the van, follow me across the border when I came back to New York State from Quebec province. And I looked it up. I'm not sure if it was Sci like PSY or Sci PSI. And actually both of those are Department of Defense contractors that, basically look into things to do nefarious things with people's minds. So it could be either one. But I kind of more suspect the more esoteric one more. I suspect the remote viewing focused one, because there's been a lot of overlapping satanic ritual abuse and like an assigned serial rapist, highly shielded on the campus of University of Maryland, Baltimore County, where it seems like they must have psychological operations really going on there in this regard, because I can think of at least half a dozen parties that were involved that were psychology personnel people through there, including this, this person. He was a psychology major and he was a scholar, and he was a presidential scholar. I don't know if that was for President of the States, who was George Bush at the time, the junior one, I think, or if he was for president of the university. I've been meaning to check that. And they apparently assigned him to me and to other scholars that this network was looking to get to coercively recruit, to get this control of covertly, and so that they can have their way with us sexually as they please, and that they could use us to compromise other people. Generally with the way society is, the people with the most money and all would be generally powerful men, and so that's how they operate, like spider web after spider web, trying to get control of person A, use person A to help get control of persons B and C, and onward, wanting control over everybody, internationally networked. And when I was in downtown Toronto, and I got those files where they were actually planning to abduct me at gunpoint with someone from Guyana, I think we played that in the second part of this series we're doing here, part 2. I'm pretty sure it was part 2, and so they were planning to abduct me with someone from Guyana. And I heard some of the things I heard them refer to. They had a list with doctors, and it was international list. I have the impression it covered the world, but I can't swear 100% it covered the whole world. But they had some people listed for South America, for South Africa, and for North America.